the availability of information. That this is the age when all secrets were told, or they are being told. I mean, if you're a standard user of the internet, you actually know more about what's going on in the world than probably the director of the Central Intelligence Agency 15 years ago. 15 years ago, that guy, he had the secret reports, the agents in the field, what do they call them, the national projections on every country and so forth. Well, now you have all that, and the democratization of information is a very interesting phenomenon. And it tends, I think, to replace freedom and law with novelty and habit. One of the great things about the internet is how difficult it is to regulate it. How it's almost beyond anticipation. It's as big as the human imagination.
So we've created a technology, unlike electricity, which we can control, that perhaps we cannot potentially control. The internet.
Well, I don't think we've ever controlled a technology. This is what Mcluhan is all about.
We did and sold it, is what I mean. Or educated us to, be a part of that.
We recognized that we controlled it.
Well, but every technology carries utterly unpredictable consequences. I mean, nobody dreamed, that the automobile would create a sexual revolution because it's a rolling bedroom. Nobody dreamed that the automobile would destroy the extended family. That people would move hundreds and hundreds of miles from... the automobile created the suburb. And, Mcluhan on print, he says that the linear, uniform qualities of print created the very possibility of science, of the idea of ordered nature. Before the printed book, nobody demanded that nature be ordered. I mean, it was nice to be able to predict the movement of the stars, but the idea that the precision of stellar movement could be extended down to the oceans and the animal life, that's a post-Cartesian ideal for sure. Mcluhan said that the citizen is a creation of print. The public is the creation. But there was no public in the Middle Ages. You don't have the public unless you have books or their derivatives. The idea of audience, these things that are so basic to us, the idea of interchangeable parts in the manufacture of all kinds of objects, that's from print. So forth and so on. Similarly, television had hidden impacts on sensory ratios. Mcluhan, strangely, his interpretation of television was that it restored us to a medieval sensory ratio. He said that print was an ear culture, and that television is an eye culture. That he believed the TV screen was more like a page of medieval manuscript than either was like a printed book. Because he said in the case of the TV screen and the medieval manuscript, you must look. You must look. In the case of the book, you do not look, you read. And reading is a completely different function than looking and creates different ratios in the senses. The emergence of the laws of perspective in the late 1460s must have burst over the consciousness of European humanity like a paradigm change. When they first began doing perspective, they manufactured for the art schools in Italy these things called perspectographs that would project a recessional grid onto a canvas so people could learn how to do it. Well, we do it absolutely unconsciously. I mean, for us, the laws of perspective are a fact of nature, and yet they were discovered by an advanced group of thinkers less than 500 years ago. That's odd.
perspective, like the things farthest away from you appear small.
Right, that was the breakthrough. So he said, gee, I never noticed that quite before. You're right. And, you know, someone like Piaget has studied this phenomenon in the development of the drawing styles of young children, and believes then that a child, essentially, in the spirit of the old saw that ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny, the child develops through these cultural phases, you know, from the iconic hieroglyphic to the flattened, I can't remember the art historical term, but, and then, lo and behold, the perspective locks in, and the child can see.
Kids who draw in the pre, you know, before they realize about perspective, are not seeing perspective.
That's the assumption. So let me see if I did my list. Didn't say transcending the calculus, but it's down here, but we've played the history of mathematics enough. Well, yeah.
It's interesting how theology is going to show up in all this mix, because you've mentioned all these various disciplines, ways of seeing, and I'm curious whether we're going to start to create a paradigm that is not theological so much, but a way of seeing the world as, using the word spiritual, using that word and attempting to somehow see the world in that light with, you know, this new way of seeing, this new way of... I'm curious how that will translate itself.
The freedom and law bit, the God of that universe is the blind watchmaker, you know, who made the universe, who set it going, and who went to Idaho or something. The God of the habit and novelty world is Gaian. Everything is pictured organismically. Everything is pictured as subsets, fractal subsets of other things. And I think that Gaian goddess will empower feeling that the blind watchmaker doesn't. I mean, the only hope in Christianity, and it's a kind of a footnote, is that the blind watchmaker will someday return or send a representative, and then that'll be good. But in the meantime, you are just shit out of luck. You have to sort it out on your own, you know. The Gaian thing is more congruent with the way agricultural and Aboriginal peoples all over the world have always imaged nature. It's a curious thing, the Western commitment to abstraction. It's a unique cultural set. You know, if you are at all familiar with the Mayan civilization, they achieved great things in mathematics and in technical understanding of city planning and coordination of large-scale tasks and this sort of thing. But they never left the woods in a certain sense. Their buildings are adorned with floral ornament. They remained shamans through the high classic. They remained bound by huge public ritual and spectacle and this sort of thing. And Western civilization, this freedom thing, and then this God who went away and abandoned us, the blind watchmaker, this all set us up for an entirely different kind of cultural style. And I don't judge it. I mean, I think the accomplishments of Western civilization stagger the mind, but they are like, it's like a mad child. You know, the toys created by the mad child of Western civilization should clearly be turned over to mom for checkout and application. because left in the service of the childish worldview of Western civilization, these things are just tools for polluting the environment, decimating the cities of your enemies, so forth and so on.